Miss Vida explaining to us that the truth is among us. We have to find it.
Exactly.
The truth is among us. It's right in front of us. It is blatantly in front of us. And you know what we choose to do? Neglect it. Bypass it. Just as the children of Israel did after their emancipation from Egypt. And she told you that, you know. They went back to their pagan ways. Because Moses had gone up to the mountain and he got caught up there for a little while.
That's right. That's right.
He got caught up there for a little while. I don't know if something bite him and he had to rest and he couldn't come down on time. But he stayed a little bit too long. And them partners down there go back to the golden calf. They go back to their old ways. That is us in Dominica. Today, we will not let go of the old ways. We will not get to the new. Spiritually, the only way you get to the new is to let go of the old. And Miss Vidal she spoke about a gate. You mentioned the gate too. I got that, you know. You could either close the gate or open the gate. There are those of us who are inside the gate and those of us who are outside the gate. If you choose to say outside the gate, then you will perish. You have to get inside the gate. And inside the gate is truth and understanding and love and harmony. Folks out there, I'm not a preacher. But I know scripture. I understand. I read a lot of scripture. And let me just, before I close, let me say thank you very much for Miss Vidal. Not tying events in 2023 to 300 AG or 300 BC. No, that's not what I'm thanking her for tonight. What I want her to give us a blessings on is to continue manufacturing, putting out that level of consciousness, which explains the reality of scripture to our daily existence.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I'm giving her credit for. To us. And if we cannot say it, we have taken over from Moses coming away because he got caught in the mountain, and we make one or two red bulls, just as the Hebrews made the golden calf. So we have one or two red calves.
So we spoke about the red calf.
The red week. Calf. We have one or two red calves, which will continue worshiping. And I know Blessings really like that if he's listening, guys. The church is the red calf, you know. The church today in our society is the red calf. I'm going to cool out because I'm getting extremely hot right now. The church, all I'm going to say, the church today, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm not symbolic. I'm straightforward. The church is the red calf. Brother John?
All right, thank you very much, Brother Sir. The church is a red calf. We'll talk about that after the meeting. I want to know why it is the red calf.
I'll explain to you, my brother.
We'll just go to the side.
Yeah.
Time
Permitting, yes.
It's now 7 o'clock, up to 6:59. So let's go quickly into the opinion page because we're kind of running out of time already. And we'll have a little discussion before we bring in Brother by about 7:15. All right, so please take a listen at this time.
Dominica, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Skerritt Anthony Hayden Corporation. Time is overdue to put an end to state-sponsored bribery. This year's traditional ritual of observing independence was overshadowed by the national humiliation arising from financial misconduct of Dominica's government that was exposed by the worldwide investigative report on the management of the CBI program. The ensuing reputational damage was even more profound and devastating. Yet this regime has continued with its cavalier authoritarian approach in dealing with the governance of the country. It seems that the old adage, a leopard cannot change its spots, appropriately describes the character of Roosevelt Skerritt. We somehow hoped that in the best interest of Dominica, Roosevelt would make a statement announcing his resignation. Instead, he has consolidated his position on abuse of national resources for his political survival, in absolute disregard of the devaluation of our status as a nation state and the grim consequences for our beloved country. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, a nation state is one that is ruled in the name of a community of citizens, The legitimacy of rule of the nation state over the population inhabiting it stems from the right of a core national group within the state to self-determination. Members of the core national group see the state as belonging to them and consider the proximate territory of the state to be their homeland. Accordingly, they demand that other groups, both within and outside the state, recognize and respect their control over the state. Unquote. Sadly, Dominica has degenerated into a country whose leadership is motivated solely and only by a quest for personal enrichment, while the rest of the citizens, are reduced to poverty and mendicancy. Yet, citizens seem blinded by cultural traditions originally associated with statehood and freedom from colonization. What hypocrisy! Adult citizens and school children are required to sing patriotic cultural songs such as Pakiteyo Po Dominico Nu, while their rights of ownership to their property are rapidly being eroded or have been forcibly revoked and bestowed to foreigners. Far from being politically and economically independent, Dominica has become a nation wholly owned by the MMC Anthony Hayden Corporation, with the complicity of Roosevelt, of course. According to the IMF Article 4 Consultation Report of 2022, Dominica's GDP in 2023 is projected at US $700 million, or equivalent to 1.89 billion EC dollars. Yet it is believed that Anthony Hayden holds and controls 7.9 billion EC dollars of Dominica's sovereign wealth in accounts outside the Constitutional Consolidated Fund. The amount of sovereign wealth controlled by Anthony Hayden is estimated to be 4.2 times larger than Dominica's GDP, thus rendering the citizens hostage to the dictates of a foreign individual who determines, among other things, who are eligible to receive a free ticket to the World Creole Music Festival. Does that make any sense? Caring governments have instituted economic policy measures, including fiscal incentives, aimed at attracting foreign direct investment, FDI. But Dominica has been engrossed in the most perverse transactions, whereby a foreign consultant has been given ownership rights to control the destiny of Dominica's citizens. The political authority has been compromised, and our country is now subjugated to the interests of a foreign corporation. That is unacceptable. Due to the sanctions imposed on Dominica by the United Kingdom and the EU governments, the market for the sale of passports has been severely curtailed and impacted, resulting in dire consequences for major projects funded by the CBI. At the same time, the international community has placed its own conditionalities prohibiting the transfer of CBI funds through the conventional international banking system. In these circumstances, the most feasible option available to conduct passport selling business is by using private international jets to shuttle persons who hold diplomatic passports carrying briefcases loaded and packed with foreign currency. Similarly, agents involved in the CBI program have devised alternative ways to distribute the proceeds from the sale of passports, using such events as the World Creole Music Festival to distribute the largesse that cannot be accounted for in the consolidated fund. One junior minister announced that government had earmarked the amount of $8 million towards the festival, the World Creole Music Festival. Through this subvention, the government broke the record of complimentary tickets offered at any festival or sporting event in the Caribbean. A total of 13,000 free tickets were placed in the hands of select persons and government supporters. At the average price of $150 per ticket, plus $100, give or take $100 in cash for drinks and food, the beneficiaries were afforded luxury entertainment value to attend World Creole Music Festival, amounting to $3.25 million. $3.25 million. It also seemed that the beneficiaries were given the opportunity to witness the start of a political campaign at the World Creole Music Festival. And such transactions tantamount to state-sponsored bribery. In desperate times, desperate people engage in desperate measures to gain patronage acceptability. The largesse that was distributed at this year's World Creole Music Festival was a calculated ploy for patrons to see the Prime Minister making his debut as a performer to formally announce his preference of music under the nasty business label. With the exception of church leaders such as Monsignor John Lewis and Pastor Randy Rodney Jack and the formidable journalists such as Lennox Linton, Loftus Durand, Matt Peltier, and Q95, and the patriots such as CCM members, Rosie Felix and her team, the rest of Dominica appears to have consented to the newly acquired status as a wholly owned subsidiary of the MMC Hayden, Anthony, and Co. Other non-governmental organizations such as the Bar Association and the Dominican Association of Industry and Commerce have been emasculated and rendered impotent. We the people demand the start of proceedings to recover all monies, all assets that have been illegally expropriated from the state. Isn't it past time to put an end to the Roosevelt, Anthony Hayden, state-sponsored bribery? Wake up, Dominicans. Wake up.
All right, Leafy, Dominican, Leafy, wake up. All right, thank you very much. Yes, folks, another good message, another good message. And of course, we must thank the scribe and the narrator for having put that thing together for you, the people. And that's being done on a regular basis. Good message, powerful, current issues being dealt with. And so we are very happy for that. And I know you too are very appreciative of that kind of message and the level at which it is being presented as well. What I love about the scribe message is the opening statement. The opening statement by the scribe, in particular, these two words, financial misconduct. What is financial misconduct? Financial misconduct is really misstatements and other things that are where you have improper records, including the intentional misstatement of the results of the operations, financial wrongdoing, forgery, or other alteration of documents, fraud, and other unlawful acts. That is, in a nutshell, what is financial misconduct. The accounts, the statements are irregular. Now, the question I want to ask is, does that definition suit our government? And the answer is an obvious yes. It's an obvious yes. The alteration of documents, there are misstatements. For example, we can focus on the sale of passports that are not gazetted. Because from the time we started to take the information, when I say we, I'm talking about the opposition forces. From the time we started to take the information from the Gazette about the sale of passports, and we started to make the calculations, we all know what happened. They stopped putting that information in the Gazette, which is unlawful. I recall some figure from 3,967 passports that was sold in about 4 months. I think from May to August 2018 thereabouts. Then another 1,666 passports that was sold in another 4 months again in 2019 thereabouts. So when Mr. Linton started to make those calculations, because you know he's very good at that, he started to calculate and see how much money we had to make from passport sales. He said, oh, but it's something, these guys have too much information. They call it off. So the sale of our passport, the number of passports sold, is no longer in our gazettes from since 2019, I believe, thereabouts. So when the government goes to Parliament and they present figures on the sale of passport and so on, it is misleading. Because if they sold 5,000 passports, it is not in the gazette. So they could safely come and say we sold 2,000. So that is where the financial misconduct comes in, where you have misstatements, you have unlawful acts, you have the alteration of documents, and all of that. So these tools are very powerful in the message that the scribe has presented to us this evening. Now we also have the keeping of state resources, that is billions of dollars outside our treasury. This is again another act of financial misconduct, right? When someone is employed at a company or an institution, organization, or whatever, he or she has been deemed to commit some form of misconduct. What would the employer do? The employer would do two things. Either send that person a strong warning letter, or that person might be dismissed based on the nature of the misconduct. So that is what we need to do in Dominica. Okay, we need to establish the acts of financial misconduct by this government and to fire them, get them out permanently, never to return to office. That's what we Dominicans need to do. But rather than firing them, we are allowing them to rule the country with an iron fist. And they continue to enrich themselves. According to the scribe, I quote, sadly, Dominica has degenerated into a country whose leadership is motivated solely and only by a quest for personal enrichment, while the citizens are reduced to poverty and mendicancy. You know what is mendicancy? It's the condition of being a beggar, like our partner Ian Douglas said. When you wanted the house, you beg for it, you kneel down, you cried, and so on. That is mendicancy. You go and beg for little one to pay light bill, to pay water bill, pay your rent, to send your child to school, and so on. That is the state that this government has put the citizens, while they themselves keep enriching themselves with the seal of our passport. Dominica has become a nation, according to the scribe, wholly owned by the MMC Skerritt Anthony Hayden Corporation. What a name, eh? I want to know when that company got registered. Mr. Scribe, I want to know when that company got registered. MMC Skerritt Anthony Hayden Corporation. We need the certificate of registration.
That's from the lava.
In other words, we the citizens of this country no longer own our homeland. And that is very dangerous. That is very dangerous. When one man and his foreign friend decides that the finances of a country are allocated, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. How can one man decide where and how the finances of a country is allocated? That is dangerous. But the question I want to ask tonight, what has happened to our accounting officers, the cabinet secretary, the permanent secretaries, the financial service unit, FSU, the accountant general, the director of audit? Where are they? Why are these people not performing their duties in accordance to the law? Patriots, Dominicans, it is high time that we start to call them by their names. Let people know who they are and their association or non-association with the ruling party. We are hearing and reading reports from credible organizations about the financial misconduct of this administration for many years now. A foreigner is believed to be in control of billions of our dollars, which is estimated to be 4.2 times larger than Dominica's gross domestic product, GDP. And as like the scribe said, and let's add a little to it, with the exception of church leaders such as Monsignor John Lewis, Pastor Randy Rodney, and his team, the formidable journalists like Lennox Linton, Loftus Durand, Matt Peltier, the patriots such as CCM, Rosie Felix and her team, Blessings, Blue, Lucille, the Trucker, Clem, Rossi, Martin Edwards, WP team, Freedom team. Let's mention a few of them. And a number of other patriots who are always on the front battle, like the people from Bawi and Marigot and so on. Besides these people, the rest of Dominica appears to have consented to the newly acquired status as a wholly owned subsidiary of MMC Hayden, Anthony and Company. The scribe is also saying to us, and which we fully endorse, that other non-governmental organizations such as the Bar Association and the Dominican Association of Industry and Commerce has been emasculated. You want this to be emasculated, brother? to a grown you. And rendered impotent. I mean, it's not a laughing matter, but you know, it's not a laughing matter, but it is the reality.
But it's a shot way, you. They call them in way back eunuchs.
Right.
Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
They can no longer function, brother.
They cannot
no longer function.
They used to guard the king's wives.
These guys are useless.
You said they're eunuchs. That's eunuchs.
Not even one was from the Bar Association. Not one was from the Dominican Association.
All eunuchs. All of them are eunuchs.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, what's really going on? To patriots, the level of silence in Dominica is unbelievable.
Let's be well shot.
The hard facts are right before our eyes of the high level of corruption and financial misconduct by this ruling administration. I'm going to just round up because we need to.
We have to move on. Yeah.
So it is modern time. It is modern time that we wake up as a people. Wake up as a people and take back our country. And I will end my presentation exactly how the scribe ended it, is that we the people demand the start of proceedings to recover all monies and assets that has been illegally expropriated from the state.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it past time to put an end to the Roosevelt Anthony Hayden state-sponsored bribery? Wake up, Dominicans. Wake up. Good work, Mr. Scribe. Very good work. Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, well, the scribe and the narrator speaks to very um, topical issues prevalent at this point in time. But it's all a reflection of the government modus operandi in terms of its secrecy. We have heard a lot about funds that may not have find itself in the consolidated fund of Dominica, where it should rightly be. But as I said, that is all covered up in terms of government secrecy. And I've already said, this is an authoritarian government. They're more communistic, and their behavior is more like Russia and China and Cuba, and where they hide things. That is their modus operandi, right? They are not there to answer to legitimate questions as referred to arising from the investigations into the financial mismanagement or misconduct of Dominica as far as the CBI program is concerned. They try to hide as much as possible from what should be in the public domain. Lack of information, lack of accountability and transparency is what transcends this modus operandi of government operations. So the general public is at a loss. Yes, these investigations are done. Yes, all this information is in the public domain, but the government in its modus operandi is failing to report and to respond and to clear the air as to what may be the real situation from their point of view. It was said in the past, that was the Labour Party cliché in the past, that the Labour Party was a fortress of good intentions. But we can see in this secrecy, in this lack of information and accountability and transparency, that the Labour Party, in fact, is not a fortress of good intentions, but what I would refer to as a fortress of evil intention.
I hear you, bro.
A fortress of evil intentions.
A reservoir.
And it goes back to the spiritual message.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is being hidden.
Yes, I.
The truth is being hidden.
Yes, I hear you.
From the general public.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a significant problem to my mind as to the management and of government business. Of government business. And what I would like to add to that is that while we are aware that there are significant funds that may be available through CBI, and I mean we have the normal tax revenues as to the VAT, government receiving enormous cash flows. But what we are witnessing is that
where the public has to benefit in terms of efficient and effective public services, this is non-existence. This is non-existence in the education sector. You hear in bus drivers, I mean, those guys are about at down the line in terms of and they cannot get paid. This should be normal, regular, recurrent expenditure. We just come from a budget cycle a couple months ago, and several ministries are lacking the funds to extend public services to the general public. You know, and that is critical. The hospital services. I understand every time you go there, you have a 90% chance to die. 90% chance.
I want the 10%.
Of dying.
I want to be part of the 10% partner. Huh?
You know, significant the public, the government solid waste management is in a problem, very irregular.
You have your $15?
My brother, today in Warhouse, I have no lights and no water for a significant portion of the day.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting worse because basically, given their hidden agenda, this is where the corruption lies. This is where the corruption lies.
I hear you.
The hidden agenda is an agenda for corruption. And we need to deal with this. The Dominica populace, the citizens of Dominica need to get serious and to deal with this phenomenon. We just come from a budget cycle, and yet significant expenses that need to be made in various departments and ministries cannot be made 2 months after your budget cycle. What is your budget all about?
Sure.
And this is inherent in the piece given here by the scribe.
Good point.
Leading to corruption.
Is it leading or it is corruption?
It is. The hidden agenda is. And what I'm saying with all of that, we just come, it was supposed to be a celebration of our 45th anniversary of independence. But basically, what we are seeing is that our economic independence is uncontrollable. I made the point in the last program that yes, we have been politically independent, but in terms of economic, and I mentioned moral, but when I talk about moral development, I'm talking about our leadership, our ownership in significant matters in Dominica. Where is our independence when every school and every health center and every significant infrastructure is being done by foreign nationals? So these are the things I'm talking about. This, you understand what I mean? And I'm saying that undermining of our economic independence is putting us in a new chapter of neo-colonialism.
Yes, sir.
We are being recolonized.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
I agree with that.
And that is the important point I want to make here. Yeah.
So you land.
And well, I will land soon. I will land soon. Just give me 1 or 2 more minutes. I wouldn't go into details of the ticketing business for the independence and so on. Again, what is happening, everything is being political. So even the Creole festival is in the realm of the political realms of Dominica. And they are using the Creole festival to politics. This thing about giving people tickets to go to Creole, this is a political move. And from my own eyesight, what I observe is that this is building up a big black market of tickets with regards to the Creole Festival. Because several people who get those free tickets, they have no commitment to go to Creole Festival. So what you see they do, what I have observed, guys have their agent and they on a side, and the agent negotiating with people coming to buy tickets and bringing them on a side for those guys to sell their tickets.
So who's scamming the scammer?
You understand what I mean? This is what the people in the Dominica Festival Commission, they must open their eyes.
They cannot.
They mustn't let the government take them and play politics with them.
Pala,
But
pala.
they're aware of it.
They are aware of it.
They know.
They can't help it. They have no choice.
So that to my mind is politicizing the World Creole Music Festival.
We'll get into that.
But I will land there.
Land.
And just to say and agree with the scribe that we the people demand serious answers of our money.
Yes, man.
Serious answers. And we need to be prepared to take serious action to get better information and truthful information about our money. And I will end there for the time.
Okay, cool.
Right.
I'm not going to be long.
That's
All right. But let me follow up both you, John and Washburn. You guys got the whole thing right on the header. You got it very, very, very clearly and represented the information, knowledge, and even the little wisdom that is in the scribe's presentation in a very, very good, solid, and simple manner. So I want to continue on the basis of that simplicity and posit here that the scribe has always, brothers, two of you guys, he has always written or analyzed the importance of our inheritance. Who is stealing our inheritance away from us? And what is the basis of that inheritance? In today's world, the basis of that inheritance is the CBI funds. That's the basis, sovereign funds. This is the basis of our inheritance. This is what today we could go back to slavery, right? The beatings, the killings, the raping, the discrimination, the high level of illiteracy among our people. Boom, we get independence. This is our inheritance. And why do we sit back? Why do we sit back and allow people to corrupt that inheritance? This is the message I think the scribe is giving us. So let me just, before I hang up a little bit, let me just look at two critical things he's actually pointing to, and I hope we haven't overlooked them in our response to his critical thinking. And that is, according to him, hear what he says, this year's traditional ritual of observing independence was overshadowed by the national humiliation arising from financial misconduct by Dominica's government that was exposed by the worldwide investigative report on the management of the CBI program. This is just deep.
Exactly.
This is deep. It had to take somebody from the outside. Lennox has been telling us that all the time. And you want to hang him. And here comes people from the outside who has begun to scrutinize the relationship of a Dominica passport to entry into parts of the world. This is what the thing is about, Our passports are being used by the individuals to go where they want to go. And the darkening, not the golden passport. I hate that phrase, Brother John. You see, the golden pass is the darker passport. It's a black passport, it's a darkened passport. It's not no golden passport. It's a passport that's fueling corruption. So the whole legitimacy of our inheritance. You see, what we sweat for our blood and our tears, and we got in 1978, which is independence. We had a change of administration. Folks, in the political independence is a change of administration from a blue-eyed white man to a black man down in the Caribbean. That's all it is. We control our destiny after 1978. Prior to that, our destiny as a nation was managed by some white boys up in England. And we so happen to be there to receive a Dominican constitution, which we call our rule of law, to give guidance to our existence, both political and economical. And what has happened? That inheritance has been hijacked. It's hijacked. Folks over there, that inheritance has been hijacked. So let me say again, this on the screen. Let me quote something from the scribe. To back up what I'm saying. The legitimacy of the rule of the nation state over the population, inhibiting it, stems from the right of a core national group within the state to self-determination. Members of the core national group see the state as belonging to them and consider the appropriate territory of the state their own homeland. That's our inheritance. So folks are taking our inheritance and make it theirs, and we've been left out. What are we going to do about it, Brother John? Right, that's the question I'm asking. Let's
just take a little musical break for a minute before we bring in Brother Zed.
Location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. The Trinidad, I love Carolina, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free. But sadly, Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rock water.
All right, we have our brother Zed Loyal out there, has been waiting for the while, and I know anytime that man is on air, he also have some good things to say, some positive stuff to say and to put things in the right perspective. So our brothers out there listening, and we expect him to have a very good contribution tonight. Brother Zed Loyal, come in, please.
Greetings. Thanks for having me. It seemed like all you wanted to keep me in desert tonight, but it's all right.
No, you're in the Freddy, to enjoy your Freddy.
Greetings, bro, boy.
Yeah, man, greetings.
We like minds, but we were in similar hats.
Well, it's that kind of time with that kind of weather, covering of head. I've been hustling to get there. It's been a hustle. I got the message late, and
yes.
So yeah. But I let me say good evening to the listeners and both visual and audio. Brother Zar, Brother Blanchard, Brother Coffee, and the rest of the CCM posse. Greetings. Thanks for having me. Since I know we time tight and all ready, but we have some little time still. But I want to, if you guys don't mind, leap off that same heritage conversation, from a different. Let me first of all say to that scribe, that is one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best scribe presentations I have listened to.
Yeah.
I like how it doesn't just stick within the immediate sense of just how we normally converse currently in the country, just that immediate circle.
I like how he, you know, yeah, he developed the whole conversation around the heritage, and I think that is timely because we are losing our sense of heritage. And in a funny way though, while we are accentuating a sense of culture in a way like we've never done before, I'm really proud of it. At the same time, we're losing the heritage of empowerment. You understand? We're losing the heritage of empowerment. And if you lose your heritage of empowerment, no matter what other heritage aspects that you hold, all you're gonna be is a performer. All you're gonna be is a performer. And Dominica is turning into a performer nation. Our concept of power is visual. And real power is not a visual thing. Real power is not a visual thing. And so if we're not in tune to the dynamics of our governance and our ways and means, and we're not having a transparent relationship with who governs us, we are going to end up as a nation of disempowered people.
We're almost there.
You understand? And so I look at this whole Melissa thing. I want to use it. You guys have touched the passports and those things, so I wouldn't. But I think something that is more fundamental to us is our water. Our water. And I'm very concerned, and it's not I alone, people who are in tune into the circle and who are very concerned. You see, because this trip to Saudi Arabia, man.
Yeah.
I heard them brothers today talking about the government and costing. This trip is costing no money to Dominica. No money. This is a vacance. You understand? To be sold. So it's like a modern slavery ship where we're going to transfer some certain things to the east.
Zed, hold on. Are we going to transfer or are we going to give up?
We're
going to give up certain things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If your empowerment is visual, you will still have a sense of having it, but it won't be yours.
Exactly.
It won't be yours. And so this thing, and it's the whole Caribbean, you know, these guys have bought what you're seeing going on there is all these islands, you know, Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados, Guyana, Lucia. The man just come and just and Melissa talks about her prayer, man. Melissa need to stop taking people for fools. You understand? That
hold on. It's not just the Caribbean, you have to look at the global south.
Well, yes, the global south.
Tie the Caribbean into the global south and the geopolitical relationships we have within the global south and the global north.
Well, I do not want to go to the wider directive for a simple reason. I think there's a unique, different relationship between these Eastern Caribbean islands, even within that CARICOM construct and the CARICOM. You understand? These guys are making decisions by proxy. You understand? Where the Labour Party supersedes the flags of these nations. Supersedes. So there is a collective, and the sad part about that collective is the areas where these guys can be collective and develop the region, they are not collective. You understand? You know, even the water thing, the Antigua thing, that's supposed to be a phone call to Scaro. Yo, what's going on? We're supposed to be organized, but my boy cannot call Scaro because we don't even have water organized for ourselves, much as for foreign. You understand? But
partner,
yeah.
Partner, I mentioned the inheritance, and you take off your discussion with the inheritance. If you don't understand your inheritance, how are you going to make it work for you?
Well, that leadership is supposed to help that, because remember, we come from a colonized society, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So which means a process of education has to be part of our independence development.
And why that is not in place?
Yeah, well, I think it's twofold. I think the people have not demanded respect, and I think the leadership does not understand the completeness of independence. To them, it is more an advantageous opportunity than a collective vision for the nation.
Personal opportunity, personal.
Yeah,
Personal
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah,
Not just opportunity, personal opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Go
it?
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So,
Yeah,
so,
but
so that
you have
yeah. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, just to interact with you, Zed, I mean, you raised some significant views there. The question of the disempowerment of the people. And when I mention about our moral development in terms of independence, that is what I'm referring to, you know, our ability to be more self-reliant, to be empowered to do things for ourselves, to lead ourselves, to manage ourselves, to improve the whole social environment, you know, among the social sectors. This to me has been lacking in terms of our independence, and to me, I encompass all of that in terms of our moral development as a people 45 years after independence.
Yeah, well, Zah, if you remember, we, you know, a lot of times that's why I didn't want to go along to the broader South, you know, because these people politically are a different conversation. You know what I mean? They've been through that civil structure. They've been through that there's a different consciousness politically in that other South. And I think we have a unique kind of difference in our small circle here that is detrimental. You see, we never had Eric Williams in while we've had good leadership. You know, I'm not taking away brother LeBlanc and he laid the thing, but we didn't have, you know, follow up, you know. And so when you come through a structure like a Dr. Eric Williams, the nation, no matter even if they stay in some sense of pettiness, they have no choice but to become independently minded. We haven't really evolved that kind of leadership, evolved in a way where it stayed there and it imprinted and it built us into that. We as an independent nation, we are at the beginning in many ways.
We have not matured.
Bro, philosophically, right? In order for you to move forward as a unit or as an individual, you must be self-conscious.
Exactly.
If you are not self-conscious, by self-consciousness, I mean you have to know yourself, understand yourself historically. And one of the key things that's lacking in our national consciousness, right, is that the people who are managing the state at this point, they're feeding themselves, yes. They're feeding themselves. You can't give a hungry man to share food. In other words, so the hungry man is going to eat all food for himself. But there's a residue. And what we're already dealing with is that residue. Because the residue have us on edge. Within our own understanding of our movement forward to our liberation, that collective consciousness, Brother Zed, you see that collective consciousness to move us to that next level? It is very slow becoming.
Yeah, well, remember, we within us as a heritage, even forget the rest, we are leadership heritage society. That's fundamental, that's historical within us. And I'm not talking about the indigenous, you know, concepts of resistance. We as a nation, we are leadership centered mentality. And so I think it is even more imperative that we have philosophical leadership. And what we have not had is philosophical leadership, at least in this last, you know.
Exactly.
We don't have people who process leadership from a philosophical viewpoint. We don't have people who process leadership.
Explain what you mean by philosophical. What do you mean by this? Explain that to the listeners.
Well, you talked about the consciousness a while ago, and you said that the individuals have to become conscious. Well, the consciousness, if it doesn't come from a philosophical viewpoint, it just remains primal, you know, it remains bread and butter. It remains taking, it remains just those basic things. But a nation cannot develop in that basic consciousness. You have to have a more philosophical output that grows you. Right now, we are in Dominica. I listen to me in these different stations, and I've been listening to everybody, man, for a while now. I used to be on Q alone listening. I listen to everybody, and you know what's happening, Zah? The conversations in Dominica are getting smaller and smaller and smaller in content. We're not expanding. So, and that shows the absence of the philosophical consciousness.
The wider range of things.
The wider range of things. And if you don't see the wider range of things, man, you become an easy player for jokers.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I would just like to suggest, as we have in this conversation,
Yeah.
that the philosophy has to be embedded in a deep spirit of nationalism.
Yeah. Well,
This
there's
could mean a
nationalism.
lot.
There's nationalism.
And that
there's
nationalism has to include empowerment of the people, active citizenry in terms of ensuring that you have citizens participating in the development process
Yes.
very actively.
Right.
Yeah.
There has to be a deep spirit of self-reliance, which to me is lacking. That undermines the nationalism. And I believe where the social strata of society is concerned, we need to see a more equitable distribution of the resources of the state. The resources of the state are too much bent into one direction and for a few people. What we see developing is a cult. Every time there is an election, you have ministers, you have consultants, you have guys who don't have no job but to make the money, to keep the secret and to hide the transparency. And if we cannot deal with those issues, then our independence is very much undermined and eroded.
But guys, if I should make a
And that is my point.
a quick comment, you know.
How you mean, John?
Guys, yeah, and
You should make a comment.
But you know, all of what you have said is good, and I suppose the things that have been said is really the ideal situation. What we would like to see in order for us to talk about a true independent nation. But we are forgetting that the people that we have in the government of the country right now will not assist in any way in doing it. So it depends now on the people, we, to do it for ourselves. But is that possible? When the government have impoverished a nation, have them begging for everything, they have taken control of the health system, the housing, even employment, because you have the NEP where you have over 5,000 persons employed and they're depending on that little NEP salary to survive. So when you have placed a country, placed a people in that situation, it's going to be difficult for them to get out of it. They really have to be educated. You really have to spend a lot of time trying to get them to understand that they can do better for themselves and where they are is not the best place to be, and that the people in power are trying to keep them in poverty, that so they will keep voting for them for their survival, so to speak. So it will take a lot more than just saying what we said tonight. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, John, I want to interject. You know, you see, it is exactly what we're saying here tonight. That is the solution. It is. Right. You see, the people cannot avoid hungriness. They cannot avoid the pinches and the pinches of primal things unless they have a higher meditation.
Right. And
part of the thing is you guys keep having the conversation from Skerritt's perspective. You cannot empower people if your conversation is based on your opponent. Skerritt must go cannot solve, it cannot create. You see that thing we're talking about? Skerritt must go cannot create that.
I agree with you.
You see, look, see St. Vincent. Look at St. Vincent. You see St. Vincent, I'm not a big supporter of Gonzalez, but because Gonzalez has a philosophical grounding, 9 out of 10 his decisions are made in the interest of nation, even in his corruption. And we need to understand that, fundamentally,
But Zed, I agree with you because me and we have been on that same wavelength for a long time. I'm happy you brought Gonzalez into the picture and juxtaposed Gonzalez's carrot.
That's unfair.
That's unfair. That's totally unfair, man. You're killing carrot, man.
Yeah, that's unfair.
Because Gonzalez is a smart man. The guy is intellectual. The guy understands history. At the beginning, he comes from a Marxist background. He understands.
Yeah, man. Collective development.
Doesn't understand anything but corruption and self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, man.
Gonzalez is somebody who understands dialectics, who understands history. And therefore, his historical understanding puts him in front of his nation as somebody that can move his nation forward. The guy we have in Dominica don't understand anything, no history, nothing. The guy's a damn idiot.
And if we take the philosophy of Bill, if we take the philosophy to St. Kitts, where you now have an economic philosophy, and so we need to understand, all the compartments, it's compartments of philosophy,
Exactly.
In St. Kitts now, you have people who are totally in the philosophy of economics.
Right.
So you take the same opportunities that Dominica has, and you get an entirely different result because you have a sound economic, philosophical paradigm in the country.
But you could go a little way back and get to Morris Bishop,
Paul.
You get to Morris.
I'm listening to that.
And you get to Morris, and you could tell the difference in leadership, understanding what moves the people forward to make them be self-sufficient. This guy in Dominica don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
All right,
But a few of us have to come out and forget about this guy, man. And we have to inculcate a new philosophy, boy. I know I can't talk too much on that. I myself, I'm really supposed to be on the ground, I tell you the truth. But are you making it hard for me to tell one of the people, man? Are you not ready yet?
We are going to do one or two calls.
Yeah, man. One love.
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue. Good evening, caller. Ready. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes,
My boy, yes.
and I put site. It's still not a corrosion. It's still not a corrosion here. I know from Granzal. It's still not a corrosion here. I know.
The corrosion.
Yeah. All right, caller.
Well, you'll kill me.
Let's take one or two more calls. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes, Brother Blanchard.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
I still got a heated debate.
Yes, yes.
The educational part of our independence, Brother Blanchard and Mr. President, Vice President, had already been started in the time of Lee Blanc.
Yeah.
To be self-reliant, to depend on ourselves, to make to decide our own destiny, to be
sufficient.
To determine our future, where we want to go. Even the philosophical part of it too. Who we are as a people, what we expect from our people, where's our position in this 21st century, our vision, our aspiration. These things, we had done some thinking about it. What happened? We went back, Brother Blanchard. No self-reliance, no confidence, no self-participating. People are not participating in their own governance. You cannot talk, no freedom of speech, no freedom of thought. You cannot even be independent-minded. You can think independently. So what happening is that we're going back instead of going forward. When you want to tell me our GDP is $700 something plus $million, and one man has $6 billion of a country, my brother, what is that? What our people going to do about it, Brother Blanchard? It's the people. The people are not interested. They want to get drunk. It's like they give up. No hope.
Yeah.
No future. No vision. No dream. No aspiration. Everything is dead. What we need is a massive revolution. And I talk in terms of civil disobedience. Make the country ungoverned. You have to put sand in the wheel. You have to stop it because it will wreck all of us, Brother Blanchard.
Yes, sir.
You understand? Our people are intelligent enough. We have people there. But something happened along the way, maybe because of the same colonial-minded influence. They think one set of people should be at the top while the rest at the bottom. Because before, if you're black and your nose big and your hair going, you don't working in the bank.
Yeah.
So they must think they alone should be the prime minister, they should be president, they should be minister, and nobody else. You understand? And that is what's killing us, my brother. Black people in general don't know. We need to go back to know who we are, where we come from, where we going, what we expect for ourselves and our children, our vision. Are we going to see ourselves in the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now? Anyway, you run out of time already. So
Good point.
Guys, you guys mind if I answer, Bob?
Yeah, go ahead, Zed. Go ahead.
You see, Bro Mali, good point. Here's the thing, brother, and I want you to really get that. You see, for us to be able to go to, I'll take South Africa. You see, South Africa, the ANC were fighting South Africa, right, for a long time. You know what came and changed the philosophy, the vibes? It went from fighting to a philosophicalness of knowing thyself. When Steve Biko come and changes this thing from a dynamic between ANC and Bofa, when he changed that to a blackness, it was over. A blackness, it was over. The whole inferiority complex, all the weaknesses of the people were just cleansed out of them for a philosophy of blackness. You understand? And so the problem, while we talk about scary, the presentation of the message has also been at fault. Because the presentation of the message, it evolved along a reaction to Roosevelt's scary, not a foundation to a different thing. Yes, while we are saying ideas of doing things different in Dominica, but the premise was built on an anti-scary premise. And that is the problem in struggle. The premise has to build on something that is more philosophical. There has to build on more. And I like the idea of heritage tonight by the brother. The heritage thing is like on point. Like that is our pivot to that consciousness.
Exactly.
You see, because we are losing these things. We are losing these things because we caught up in a physical understanding politically. And we caught up in an understanding that is just micro. Like I said, you listen to Kyrie, you listen over there. All the conversations, while the conversations in Antigua on the radio station keep going out spherically, Dominica's conversation is coming rectangular.
Because Zed, what you see, we haven't developed again, get back to the same philosophy. We haven't developed a philosophy of a sub-regional or regional power. You see, when you get to Antigua and you get to Barbados and you get to Trinidad, these folks look at or even St. Lucia, more recently St. Lucia.
Yes.
People in St. Lucia, they have developed a sub-regional power. You know, that when a St. Lucian look at me in New York and say, Dominica poor. Look at the Dominica, the poor place.
And they come into Dominica to work.
And Dominica is the poor place. They have developed that philosophy, right? That they're going to move, they're going to be empowered to move their state forward. We here now in Dominica, what we have been doing over the past 20, 23 years is what? Thinking backwards.
Yeah.
But don't think
It's
it has-
backward thinking. We're not thinking forward in the sense that we're going to move the whole process
Yeah,
forward,
yeah.
where people now can become
Yeah.
engaged in their own liberation, their own
Yeah.
freedom, both politically and economically.
But
Yeah.
don't think that has a lot to do with the people's mindset and their,
Exactly.
I'm addressing the mindset.
political.
Exactly.
But what I
Maturity.
address it is
Maturity.
address the mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
So that needs to change.
But how
And-
you change your mindset?
Right. So I'm saying it's right. So I'm not saying we need to work on that. Education.
But you see,
If you-
education. What education? What kind of education?
No, but you need to
Good
make
questions.
What kind of education? It's not just education. It's what kind of
so
education?
so how do you intend to make it better? By just talking about it?
No.
Right.
No.
No.
You're missing the point.
No. The point I'm making is we are talking about what exists right now in Dominica. So I'm saying, what are we going to do about it?
John, we have to move out of what exists, John. That's what we've been trying to tell you there for the last 45 minutes. You know, we have to move out of what exists.
How do we get out of it?
Well, you're in small circles. You say you keep saying this. The thing is, right? Oh, these conversations, they always keep happening. It's kind of a big thing, but you see on that philosophical level, bro. It's more of a micro kind of portal, it's more, you see, you remember the Afi and them, I don't know if you know what I mean, I know I taught you and we go to school together, kind of way, but you see, you have to have those kind, you cannot be starting from a point of view like you're desperate. It is not, a desperate mission is not going to accomplish this mission.
But can I use myself as the example here tonight?
Go ahead, brother.
Here tonight. At one point, Brother John, I thought I understood what was going on in the world. Because of my Catholic upbringing. I had a particular understanding of where I am in the universe and what I have to do to make it better from a Catholic point of view, from my Catholic education. Indoctrination. Now, but in order for me to be here talking to you right now, I had to find a way.
I had to
find a way to actually cut myself out of that understanding because I wasn't going anywhere with it. So I had to detach, man. What Zed is talking about is a detachment.
And not everybody has that ability.
But what you understand if everybody have got it? Say there, so those that have that ability, those that have should teach others what it takes, to develop that ability.
The point I'm making. We have
I'm using myself as a guinea pig here. At one point, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
The historical, the dialectics of life. But when you get to understand it and you could detach yourself from what you were taught, you become an independent individual.
It's similar to a woman living in a house of a man.
Hold on.
Hold on. And the man is the sole breadwinner. Okay? That man is abusing the woman, beating her up and so on. And she feels to herself that she doesn't have anywhere to turn. The man is the sole breadwinner. Where do I go from there? But if she tells herself, look, I can do better. I can leave this guy. I can find a job. I can be self-employed. I can take care of my family. Then she gets out. So the point I'm making is you have to have that self-determination.
And why
should
you not have it? But why shouldn't you not have it?
No, I'm not saying you should not.
The question I'm asking, but I understand clearly where you're coming from. Because you have to get into the contradiction in order for you to understand some realities. Right? The question is, why would I have it and Washburn hasn't got it?
Different upbringing, different mindsets, different level of education. It's a number of things. Because if you're raised in a home, poverty, that's all you know, poverty, struggling. you think differently, as to
But John, we just talk about
opposed to a man that raised in a
but we just
rich
talk about
family.
detaching yourself from the poverty. How you have to
Yes.
detach you. We just addressed this,
But that was
in order for you to move forward, you have to detach yourself, and nobody gonna do that for you.
But exactly,
You have to do it for yourself.
But you are saying the same thing I'm saying in different words,
But the question then becomes but what you're stressing, what did you stressing what you're stressing to me is that it will never happen.
No, I know that's true. No,
but that's what you're saying.
No. I'm saying individuals have to do something to get out of wherever they are. But you find that some people have difficulty in getting out, so therefore they need a little booster.
The difficulty is the level of consciousness you have to come to. John, the difficulty is the level of consciousness you
not
must
everybody's on the same level.
Yeah, no, forget the level. Forget the level.
Everybody's not on the same level.
But forget the level.
Some
it's
will
not the level.
And some won't. Some can and some can't.
I'm not dealing with the level. I'm dealing with understanding.
If I may interject, I think that was the reason for CCM, you see, just bear with me. Listen, you see Afi and these guys. when the man come and start taking, not that we hadn't moved a little with Black Power and the kind of a thing and those other things, but you see when the man them come, they made time to go and teach. Mm-hmm. There's an absence of teachers.
Yeah.
So the little circles, all them things you're talking about, them smoking marijuana, all these things are circles that you can exploit, if you understand the philosophy of struggle, All these circles, by the conversation that you plan, you have to plan your conversation for your audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a blatant speech.
That's right.
You understand? You go to Goodwill, it's a different conversation. When you go in the hood, it's the next kind of conversation. If you cannot go in the hood, you cannot lead.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing is a process.
Always. So you see, by shaping the conversation,
and it does not happen overnight. And if brother said, if you start a revolution, right? If you look, even the Grenadian Revolution, if you look at the Cuban Revolution, if you look at different revolutions, look at South Africa, it's a process. It's not an overnight thing. It grinds.
Yep.
It grinds and grinds and grinds. White Scarlet maybe believe, forget Scarlet, I agree with 100% to that extent. But then you prepare yourself. You develop. Look, if you're poor, you should know you're poor. Brother John, I disagree with you. If you're poor, you should know you're poor. Mm-hmm. You must know you are poor. You cannot sit here and tell me you're poor and you don't know you're poor.
Especially you're poor.
You know you're poor. And if you know you're poor, why you want to stay poor? But you shouldn't be poor twice. If you're born poor, you shouldn't die poor.
So do something about it.
Yeah, you have to do something. And the question, why you not doing anything about it?
But the radio stations are or mediums, we have to inculcate more philosophical presenters. Because what happened is, you see, I'll tell you what, I study these radios, man. I listen to them just for studying them. And here's what happens. The content comes on the program, right? And then you have an initial reaction from a few callers. And they set the slant for the whole program. So every time the conversation gets skewed, it just gets skewed. It never goes to the objective part that it's supposed to go for it to create the transformation. So all we do every day is get into a sort of a reactive slant, a reactive skew at the top of the program, and it runs the next 2-3 hours or the 1 hour or the 1 hour.
Take a couple of calls, but particularly with the 2 shows today I listened to. Particularly in what the information was so critical to educate.
Boy, I'm telling you, I want to
take advantage of that opportunity today to educate people based on the issue that confronted us today. Anyway, John, let's take a couple of calls.
Yeah, I'd like to let's see if we can take one of the calls and then we'll continue from there. All right. Good evening, caller. You're right in the queue.
Good evening. I'm listening to you all something. and I am getting different thing. But when Zyle use it, if you're poor, you know you're poor. So if you're poor, are you going to stay there?
Exactly.
You sit down there. You know, when I sit down there, I was brainstorming.
Yes, I.
The story of
Yeah, man.
Was good.
And
Out of it, yeah.
Okay, she was in a foreign land, and they were worshiping pagans and everything. She married to the lady's son, but only to find out that the lady's son died, her husband died. But when the lady came out from a rich place and went back to a place Moab, but when she became so poor, she decided to go back home. And the other girl came to one go back, she the other came to it. So in going back, what did happen? Everything she was taught, everything her mother-in-law tell her to do, that is what she did. And then eventually what happened to her? They went back to the Jerusalem. When they went back, she found that she would go and work in the field and found out Boaz got to know who she is, and look at that, she became a rich woman.
Yes,
Yes,
mother. Yes,
she became the mother of the indigenous of Jesus Christ. So if you're poor, you cannot sit down in that.
You should not.
So many people what they just say, well, I'm poor, and you
But
just
some
stay
do.
in the state they are there. But you have to make a move.
No, you see.
Determination
Go
is
ahead, Colin.
important.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Very good point. You see, those
Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Very good reading. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you very
You
much.
should get out of it, but I'm saying that many people remain in that state.
But
John,
Zal, let me just touch John, allow you to come back in. Just give me a second.
Go ahead,
John,
go ahead.
John, you see why this what the sister just positioned there? I want to use it for a moment to teach with you, please. You see, what the sister showed us here is where the Bible is used as message to empowerment in the living. But you see, so if you're just thinking of it like the sister is this and the what is that from just a belief perspective, but when you go beyond the belief perspective, you hear what she tells you. That is an example of philosophical theology. So the book is there, but you have to process the book philosophically for your generation and your time. And what happens in Dominica is we do not process our theology in real time. We process our theology through a historical mindset, so it stays passive. But if you really process the Bible in the right form, you process it into a transitional understanding for your generation, and a tool of empowerment.
I'm glad you should encourage more people to read the book of Esther.
Oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, man. Go ahead.
Do your thing. John got the message.
Yeah. Good evening, caller.
Yes, I hear you, brother.
Yo, bro.
Well, don't forget to tell you, Lazarus was a rich man, and he grew up in heaven, and the rich, and Lazarus was a poor man, and he grew up in heaven, and he went to heaven.
Who's that, Lazarus?
Fire! My boy, too easy, you know.
All right, we have to wind up.
Yeah, John. I want to, since I was the guest tonight, I want to say something. You see, that Melissa thing and that trip to Dubai, I want us to make sure that we understand, because a lot of missing. First of all, you see this guy take the whole gang and go, that's a free ride. These guys are being bought. They're being bought for two reasons.
Yes, man.
World Expo vote in 2030,
yes,
and FIFA 2034. You hear me? The entire region. Money is a whole party that's going on in Dubai right now with all these flags.
Dubai? Is it Dubai?
Sorry, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
In Saudi Arabia. Yeah, all this is not, it's a whole set of planes that leave and going over there in that bit there and going and get spent money on and buy gold and give man silver and keep.
But the Chinese do the same thing for the vote in the UN. Is a vote in the UN them guys looking for.
Yes, but
our leaders not bright enough to discern that.
But more importantly, and that's why I was talking about the water issue. You see, you hear the kind of loan conditions we get. You see how much years free up. You see the conditions. You see the thing. All of that is part of the deal, you know, to vote, you know.
Sweetheart deal.
Yeah, it's a sweetheart deal. And I don't think the prime minister, the table that the prime minister brought to the deal is a joke. It's a
He brought
joke.
a table. You saw a table. He brought a table. There's no table. So they got
Tableless.
tableless.
But so you see, and so that is what is going on. Things are moving to the east.
Yes.
And Dominica is like, you know what I mean? We just, right now is passports in the east. Right now is Arabia taking over. Right now it's those kinds of things that are going on. It's not just the Chinese. And even our relationship with the Chinese, I want to touch on that for a minute because we are having a negative reactive relation with the Chinese. And I want to tell Dominicans, it is our government that has us in a negative relationship with the Chinese. We could have more progressive relationships with the Chinese. We could benefit from a lot of practices of the Chinese. Look at self-sufficiency. These guys come to Dominica, while all you go in Roseback and by Cal Nassif, in 6 months, these guys are self-sufficient on our land and our water. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's because these guys come with a philosophy.
And that's something I ask myself. I mean, we have that relationship with China. What are we trading with China? I mean,
we're not exploiting it.
Billions of people, and we can't even sell water to them.
But the
Listen now.
But the Chinese don't want that.
All we want is just a handout.
But them men don't want. No, you have to understand, John. The Chinese don't want no trade rule besides their trade with us, not our trade with them.
Our trade is something that the Chinese can absorb without no effect on them. So I don't think that is that. Listen, when this guy was going to sign with the Chinese, our ambassador at the time, Crispin had the plan. Crispin had a 5-point plan, you know. Would have had a dam, our hydro, our airports, you don't understand, you know. It's Roosevelt's, his mind. His mind is primal, and it's just materialistic. It's the same thing again. Even a brother who studied, you know, psychology. The philosophy of development evades Roosevelt's spirit. It evades him because he sees things in this micro kind of relationships. You understand? And we know in the opposition, we enable him because what do? We satanize him. Mystify him even more to the people.
I do not like your position that this guy sees things in a micro understanding. He sees things from the self-interest of his own self-interest. Not he sees anything from no micro perspective. He sees things from his own personal self-interest.
Well, this is the point I wanted to make. What is in it for them? What they can get out of it.
Yeah.
You understand?
I'm going to beat you up on this one because this guy, what he has some enablers who have actually tasted the taste of richness. They have tasted what it is to be wealthy, and they ain't going back down there. The only thing that is going to send them back down there is us. By take back our inheritance. Let me just close with some.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Okay, right? By taking back the struggle is to take back our inheritance, you know, because them men using our inheritance to do all kind of stupid, all kind of macaque to engrain themselves, to enrich themselves. We, as a Dominican people, coming through a very rich and historical understanding of life, must get to the point where we have to, folks out there, we have to take back our inheritance. We must. I don't care
it, man.
Anybody, we have to fight, put our life on the line to take back our inheritance.
All right.
Let's take a call before we go, Brother John.
So our brother wants to say something, but we could not get just to call. So let's go ahead. It's just 1 minute. 1 minute long. So let me take a lot of time.
That's like that.
Let me tell the world something as well. If you manage to play this voice note,
You remember the Prime Minister stated one time that he wants Dominica to be the bridge for Russia to go to the other islands, to get to the other islands. Let me tell you something. I ain't taking Roosevelt Scary for nothing soft, you know. When he said things, I watch him well, I listen keenly, you know, because the man plan is not to leave office. He's going to get himself in problem with the law. He said that. Go back to the archives. He said one time he wanted for Russia to go through the other islands to the Caribbean. He knew what he was talking about.
All right, bro, we got the points. So, brother said, yeah, it's now 25 after the 8 o'clock, and we have to get out of the people's station. So, let's go to a few closing comments so we can get out of here.
Yeah, well, let me give thanks to Mr. G for giving us some latitude tonight. Also, I want to thank Mr. G for his patience with CCM and where we are financially. I want to, as the people who listen on a regular basis and who whatever, I'm telling you, it's been a strain keeping this program running. It's been a strain on a few people, and some of us are really getting like almost like at frustrated point. It's hard.
Very much.
You know, I know the thing plays, and especially those in the foreign, man. You know, even if it's $20, man, 20 US is 60. You know, 20 pounds is the next thing. 20. You know, just like yeah, even a little thing, man. Just send it because Mr. G has given us a reduced rate, bro. Mr. G has been, you know, lenient and understanding. But at the end of the day, even the patriotic business is still a business. You know, it's still a business. And so we can have more longer time and we can have good conversation, man, if we have the platform. And because right now, we have to elevate the thing, man. We have to elevate the thing. And for us to elevate the thing, we have to be consistent. And for us to be consistent, we need resources. Dominicans are not into a consciousness of struggle across the board, no matter how much talk that's going on down there. Because the first thing you have to understand when you're into a consciousness of struggle is sacrifice. Sacrifice. Because as long as the people who are in the struggle are unwilling to sacrifice, the struggle will fail. This is not the Roosevelt Scary failure that's taking place. This is a failure of ourselves. And people keep talking about we're talking too much. We need to start the right conversation. We cannot stay on that Roosevelt Scary conversation. These radio hosts, they have to start, you know, dealing with the skewing of where we going. We getting too personal on the goddamn radio station. Too personal, too petty. You know, we're not in that grander thing of, you know, man. Yo, one love, brother. Good night. Good night. Good night.
I really see the pattern and
Good
trust
night.
you have said quite a lot tonight. A lot food support. And I know people out there is really appreciating what you said this evening. You to your thoughts tonight. So thanks again for joining us, and we do hope that we can have you on our program again very shortly.
I want to come down, boy. All if I have to do the work and get it, boy. Gasson, Roosevelt Scary is not a difficult thing to take out. Roosevelt Scary is not a difficult thing to take out. All the conditions in the country are right. All you man just forget about Roosevelt Scary, Gasson. Build the consciousness of the people.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, bro. Have a beautiful night.
Bless.
Thank you, bro.
Blessed.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, we have to get out of here. 8:28, we have to call almost half an hour. So a few seconds or so to comments, and we have to.
Just when
We
we
have
had
time.
a long program, and we hope Brother G will understand and will be lenient with us with the our extra time. But in ending, I just want to echo some of the words of Mrs. Valentine in a spiritual message to inform our listeners out there that we're really in a battle out there, a battle for consciousness, righteousness, justice, peace, integrity, transparency, accountability. We're in the struggle for all of this so that we can live well as citizens in our country. And for this, all of us have, as citizens, have to be ready to play our part. Let righteousness and truth be our guide, and let's work for changing of the gods in Dominica.
Okay, great. Let me just say to the listeners out there that God, Jah Rastafari, has given us an inheritance, and that inheritance is Dominica. For the African Dominican and the Kalinago Dominicans, we have our inheritance. Do not let one set of people take advantage of that inheritance. Brother John, always remember, keep the pressure on.
That's correct. All right, folks, I'm seeing the lights are still lighted up, but we can't take any more calls at this time. It's already 8:40. We're going to get out of the station. So let me just thank all the guys who called in tonight. We know we did a lot of talking tonight and not too many calls. So let's next week, Friday, we'll try our best to open up the lines a little earlier so we can have some more interaction from the general public. So thanks again. And as brother said, and rightly said, we need your financial assistance. So please try your best to do what you can to assist us to keep the program on air. So do have yourself a blessed weekend and of course a blessed week. May God bless you. Good evening.
Location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free. But sadly, Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over.